So now this begs the question. I'm sure a lot of people probably have thought of this, maybe that own these, that plan like me to keep it for a good while, for at least 5 years, maybe more, just depending on how many miles it gets, which it can handle the miles. Obviously, I take very good care of my vehicles, and the ones that I have taken, I've never really had any problems, and I think that's so important. But that's besides the point. The point is, will this 2024 Super Duty f250 with the 7.3 gas last a long time? And I think yes, it will. It is a newer engine. I mean, I think it was they were testing it, and in some vehicles in 2019, maybe a little bit before that, but it didn't come to like consumer market until 2020. And like I said, it's had some issues according to a lot of fleet use, and it has a variable displacement oil pump. And I don't know a whole lot about that, but from what I have heard from the experts is that it sometimes the oil pressure gets too low at idle, and a lot of times people idle these trucks. I mean, it's not unusual to see a truck with 3,000 or 4,000 engine hours on it, but they have supposedly in a service bulletin, Ford has addressed the variable displacement oil pump. I think they made it a little bit better, so it maybe has a little bit more pressure. And like I said, and a lot of times they say it can cause lifter failure. You know, Lifter failure, and I think the hydraulic lifters, from what I have read, on any vehicle, I think sometimes have a tendency, just because sometimes, like for GM, for example, a lot of times those lifters will get stuck, and it just deteriorates from there. And so the way I take care of this vehicle, I'm about to get another oil change here in the next 500 miles, and I plan to continue to do it every 4,000 to 5,000. And like I said, I don't tow or haul anything. And like I said, if I'm waiting at a red light, for a long time, and or a train, I put it in park, just because I don't want to put strain on the transmission. Not that the transmission can't handle it. It's just, if I can mitigate, wear and tear on this thing, then I will, and I think it's just better to take precautions. And I think the only thing that might really fail on this, that I wouldn't say I'm too concerned, but I think it is a possibility, is the 10 or 140. I think the adaptive learning just has a lot of it's just like I said, I don't know if it's AI that controls it. I don't know. Like I said, it's very, I think that's going to be the issue that I would probably have. And once I get into the higher, mileage bracket, but I think the engine, itself, I think is rock solid. If they could just get rid of that adaptive learning transmission, I think this thing will last no problem. So yeah.